Thanks for joining us for 5 on 5. I'm Joe Sullivan. Pleased to be joined today by Dr. Mona McCardle from Valley Immediate Care and Dr. Leona O'Keefe from Jackson Care Connect. You both are part of the Southern Oregon Alliance of Physicians and Providers. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Just tell us about the organization, SOAPP.
SOAPP, Southern Oregon Alliance of Physicians and Providers, started about a year and a half ago as a cooperation between a bunch of different medical organizations in the Valley. The two FQHCs, La Clinica, Rogue Community Health, Jackson Care Connect, All Care, Valley Immediate Care, Rogue Family Practice, Rogue Valley Physicians, because we felt there was a problem with not having enough primary cares and providers in the community.
I think you hear that a lot from people in the Rogue Valley especially, right?
Yes.
Yeah, anyone who has tried to find a new primary care provider, either because there's left the area or retired, or maybe because someone new has moved to the area, has definitely experienced the challenge in getting in with a new primary care provider.
So how is SOAPP helping to address the physicians and provider shortage here in Southern Oregon?
Well, these groups are all coming together in recognition that one more primary care provider anywhere in the community is a win for all of us. And so rather than working independently to bring a potential provider in for an interview, we're working together. Someone who's interested in Southern Oregon gets to see why it's so wonderful to live here, and then they can interview with multiple organizations in that one trip and choose the one that is a good fit for them, which means they're more likely to stay in the long run as well.
This is so unique. It's working together for a goal for the Rogue Valley and around here. How unique is this?
I think it's very unique. We haven't heard of anybody else really doing this at all. This sort of started out of COVID, where we were all meeting together virtually to try and solve our COVID problems and make sure we weren't overlapping resources. And so I have not heard of anyone else doing this either in our state or nationally when I've talked about it.
Just walk us through this a little bit. How does it work?
So if someone is interested, which so far we've found interested applicants in a variety of ways. We go to conferences to meet students, residents, and current physicians. We've also advertised in various ways. So if an applicant is interested, then they have their CV shared with each of the organizations that's hiring within SOAPP. And then we pay for them to come out and visit the area and spend several days getting to know each of the organizations and what Southern Oregon has to offer. If one of the organizations or multiple organizations are interested in the applicant, they make an offer and the applicant can choose which place they would want to work at.
Is it showing them golfing, skiing? Is it the beach? What are we showing them?
Well, mostly we're talking about that. We haven't, many of these are active physicians and don't have a lot of time. So we brought them out here. They've looked at, one of them looked at churches, one of them looked at housing. You know, we talk about all that we have to offer. But for the most part, it's them getting to interview. We recently had, in February, we recently had 2 physicians come out. And in a matter of 4 days, they interviewed with 5 different medical organizations.
Wow. This competitive landscape is so unique. In certain businesses, this would not work. Why does this work here?
Well, during COVID, many of the leaders in the medical field here in Southern Oregon were meeting together regularly. And one of the things that kept coming up was, gosh, we do not have enough primary care providers, and it's really hard to recruit them to Southern Oregon and have them stay. So what we're doing is a single primary care provider is moving from one organization to another, but we're not actually gaining that many new providers. So a few people said, what if we work together? We had already been working together collaboratively in many other ways and had formed relationships that were positive. And we realized, yeah, what if we do work together and recognize that even if that primary care provider doesn't come to my office and they go next door, that is still going to help my clinic, and most importantly, it's going to help the patients in the community.
Interesting. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with part 2 of our 5 on 5. Welcome back to part 2 of our 5 on 5. If people at home are watching right now and say this is a great opportunity and they want to get involved, or they know someone who might be interested in this, how can they get involved?
Yeah, I think people can think through connections that they have if they have family members or friends or alumni from where they went to school who are outside of the area and might be interested in moving to Southern Oregon. If they're a physician, nurse practitioner, or physician associate, send them our way. We have a website. It's SOAPPinfo.com. SOAP is spelled with 2 P's, so SOAPP info.com. And it's pretty easy to navigate. They can click a link and submit a form saying they're interested, and we'll get back to them pretty quickly.
Is there any standout moments that y'all are proud of from this forming that you'd like to talk about?
I think we've had a couple that have really just made us stand up and cheer that this is helping, this is working. When we first went up to one of the PA schools up in Portland, we talked to them about Southern Oregon and jobs down here. And after that, we had both myself and the other presenter had a line of about 15 people wanting to talk about Southern Oregon because they really hadn't heard of it. They hadn't really thought of it, that, you know, it's sort of anything south of Eugene doesn't exist.
What was their biggest surprise about down here?
That it is sort of in some ways a cosmopolitan area. It's small, but it's cosmopolitan, that we're so close to the outdoors, which people are in Oregon because a lot of people, because they love the outdoors.
Hiking, skiing, golf,
and
everything.
It's not an hour and a half drive from Portland to get up to Mount Hood. It's, you know, right in your back door. And you can go to the coast easily. So that was their surprise, but also to see what a robust community we have, and they're surprised at this cooperative community of medical docs and other providers. What came out of that, of all these people talking about it, we've had more students, PA students and nurse practitioner students, do rotations down here, get to know it. And we do know of at least one that came out of that class that we first talked to that has joined the La Clinica residency program. They have a nurse practitioner residency program there, and so we know she came. We've had, we interviewed two physicians in February, and one has already signed their contract, and the other one's deciding between the two different organizations.
Okay.
And so it really is meeting that need of bringing people in and making sure they have the best fit.
Absolutely. Okay. In the time that we have left, is there anything else that y'all want to talk about?
I just would add on a bit to what Mona has already mentioned, which are definitely highlights. The collaboration itself is a positive factor for applicants. They do really value that about our community. And one of the other wonderful things that's happened is bringing our medical community together. So yes, we can recruit, but we also need to retain our physicians and providers here. So we've had a few events where we offer for everyone to get together and spend time together. And it's been really beautiful to see people meeting each other for the first time. They only knew someone's name from the charts, but hadn't met them in person. So those connections and that networking and creating a community has also been one of the highlights, because that improves the satisfaction of our healthcare providers, which results in better patient care. If they're more likely to stay, that results in better patient care, because now you have continuity of care. And they're just forming that community and feeling like they're part of something here. So that's been a real benefit.
Really interesting topic, and thank you very much, both of you, for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with more local news.